Good morning, Dennis.
Good evening, Mashi.
How are you doing? You were recently in Scotland, so it's good to yes, no, Germany. Why do
Germany.
I've gone from like Iceland to Scotland and now Germany. I have
Well,
no
those
idea
all
where the
make
hell you
sense,
were.
right? I went to Iceland before that, and I was in Germany to see Riley, who used to live in Scotland. Like the thread is there, but even if the misses are still misses.
What's funny is that's the exact thread. That is exactly how I. No joking. And I was listening to Dennis was on the podcast where you talk about Iceland. That's why I keep doing that. So
Yeah, that's where it all falls
yeah.
apart. Yeah, Germany was
But
good.
Dennis,
Fresh back late last night. Oh, it wasn't great actually. I lost my luggage for the first time in my entire life.
I haven't got to that part yet, but did you get to run down a hill singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music?
It really does look like that. Like we were in Bavaria, and if you look out the window and take a photo, it looks ridiculous. And because it's quite high up, you get the sort of mist in the distance. So the nearest mountain looks normal, and then everything beyond that looks like it's painted onto the side of a wall, Truman Show style. It doesn't look real at all.
I gotta go. Did you have any? So one question, then we'll get to the heart of the show. Um, there's this great steak place in New York called Peter Luger's, and they have this thing called schlag, which is like a whipped cream with sugar that they put on every dessert, your coffee, everything. And it is like what clouds in heaven taste like.
I had it with an Apfelstrudel.
Okay, it's great, isn't it?
It's really good. That's the thing we have in Croatia too. In fact, what you call like the word for whipped cream in Croatian is schlag.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh God, we gotta do it. All right. I mean, when I say we gotta do it, I keep threatening to go to Croatia with Dennis, so that's why I say we gotta do it.
Riley made a funny point to me, which is everything you think about when you think of Germany from like a cultural stereotype perspective, like lederhosen, beer, pretzels, schnitzel, like sausages. That's all Bavaria.
Yeah, I buy that. I need to go to Bavaria then. That's what I want. Oh, I don't know. Schnitzel's delicious.
That's we went to a traditional Bavarian place, and it was like pork knuckle, schnitzel, and like some soup. And Riley was like, every single restaurant in here has this exact same menu. He was not kidding. It's very few items. So if you don't like schnitzel, it's a problem.
Oh God. All right. Well, Des, when last we spoke, we talked about goal setting. We talked about making a plan. And so I wanted to continue that conversation, but I wanted to offer a quote, which I'm quite certain you're familiar with. And it's one of my favorite kind of quotes of its type. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Everybody knows it's a ward off trouble, you knock on wood. But usually it's better to make a wall out of the wood and let trouble do the knocking.
I do not know that quote.
Wow, you're such a noob sometime. You know that? That is from a little card I like to call Wall of Wood, 1 green for an O3 wall.
The magic card.
It is a magic. I love this. This has been around since Alpha Beta, right? Wall of Wood. So, but it always conjured this idea of what is luck. And I think in our cases, we can repurpose it to what is planning, right? Knocking on wood is great. And I'm a big, I mean, I've got all kinds of, I wear my mala beads and I have, all kinds of stones and stuff. I'm spiritual like that. I believe in a lot of wacky stuff. But I also believe, you make your own luck, you make your own way. And so you can make a 1, 3, 5. You can create those goals. You can write all that down. But when you write all that down and sit there and do nothing, you're just knocking on wood. Mm-hmm. Go out there and make your opportunities. Okay, plan things. My old man used to say, luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So are you prepared? Maybe the opportunity's not coming today. Maybe it's not coming tomorrow. Maybe it's not coming till, next year. But when you're prepared and that opportunity comes, it feels like luck. It feels like, oh my God, but you've laid the groundwork.
Even more than it feeling like luck, to other people, it looks like luck for sure.
Incredible. And so that's why when I thought about this, it's funny. I thought about this 2 nights ago in bed. It's like when you write the goal down, that's great. You're just knocking on wood. And by the way, I do knock on wood. But when you start making those steps towards it, I think you're making that next step. It's better to build that wall and let evil do the knocking, which I love. I love conjuring that idea. It's like, do something about it. Don't be passive.
It adds an element of agency because, the phrase luck implies this sort of throw things to the wind, throw the dice and hope things come up your way. Yeah. But this other perspective, it takes the agency back and you're relying on the other person to be lucky, I suppose.
So when we spoke, I said, most of my goals there's so many of them out there I'm not working on. They're coals in the fire, as it were.
Right.
But there are some that I do pick out. I'm like, I got to work on this. I got to focus on this. And I read the other thing too, by the way, the other thing that's super important that I'm not doing right now. So I'm going to call myself out. You have that list. You read it every day. It's not War and Peace. Read those goals every day, forefront on the mind. Because then
so you're a believer in mantras, right? Like actual old school daily repetition back in the brain, buzzing mantras.
Yeah. But I think reading those goals, it's like there's a gravity that they have. They will pull you on. Not alone. Again, don't just knock on wood. But I do think having them present in mind, having them, knowing them, there's a certain gravity. The power. I don't know. You can call it the power of the subconscious mind. You can call it whatever you want. Those goals pull you towards. So, Dennis, are you knocking on wood, or are you building walls and letting evil do the knocking?
I'm definitely not. I'm definitely leaning too far and knocking on wood, to be honest. Like, and in terms of, I think planning forward and picking goals that I'm okay, but I do not put pen to paper, like you mentioned. And before we started recording, even you said that gives an additional gravity. And I remember even cramming for tests and stuff in school. Well, what I would do is I would learn a bunch of dates or whatever, and I would learn a bunch of for like a history exam or whatever, right? And I would sit down and I would write them out over and over and over and over and over again. And it just engages a different part of your brain. And I remember when I was learning, it was specifically dates for history exam, before I went to bed, I would take out my phone and I would type up the bullet points I would put in an essay or whatever before I went to bed. And as much as that engages your different part of your brain to try and memorize those things with goals and perspective and reflection, things like that, I do think it engages a different part of your brain as well in terms of how you emotionally internalize those things. It gives them a lot more weight and a lot more power. It's almost like a cheat code, right? Rather than thinking of something once a week for 5 years, you can think of it every day for 1 year, right?
Yeah. And I think thinking about it every day for 1 year, your mind works in crazy ways, right? Like, I'm asking you how Germany was, and I got there via Iceland and Scotland and eventually Germany, and turns out we were in Bavaria the whole time. So it's I do think that there are ways that, and again, it's not magic. Your mind guides a lot of you subconsciously, right? And when you start thinking about it, you start to realize how little control even inside I have. Like, I can't be like, okay, heartbeat, beat faster, digest stomach, digest fast. There's a lot going on here that the old gray matter is regulating that I have no conscious control over. So you start to think about, what else can I do that I don't have any conscious control over? And again, it's not magic. I don't think it's like, oh my God, you're manifesting. We talked about it. I do manifesting because I think there's so much else going on that you start to act, see opportunities, create opportunities when maybe there aren't any really there to your conscious mind. I think your unconscious mind can pick up a lot of it and start to feed in that. That's why I do believe in all that.
Well, what that practically manifests itself as is, and like Darren Brown has a lot of his, and he's an illusionist and like writer and stuff who I highly recommend. He's just very
illusions, Michael.
Illusions, right? Not something tricks or us for money. No, Darren Brown has a lot of these things where he talks about we are aggregates of the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, right? And he's not a psychologist or a psychoanalyst or a psychotherapist or something like that, but I think there is truth to that. And this way that you frame yourself and the way that you frame your mind, it sounds, hokey pokey, wishy washy to say it'll generate opportunities for you. What it'll actually do is it'll take stimuli, an email you receive, a job listing you see, something a coworker says to you, and you'll interpret it as an opportunity, whereas you wouldn't have otherwise.
I agree. Let me ask you this, Dennis, because we're doing this, we're having a good time. It's a way for us to connect. In terms of real impact, will this discussion change anything? Will you write a 1-year plan? Will you take action on any of those things? We talk about it, we discuss it, and that's great. Theory is super important because, theory is the start to action. Sometimes action is the start to theory. It's very cyclical because sometimes you do something and you sit back and think about it, and that's how you come up with the theory. But right now, we'll say theory before action. Are you going to put anything into action? I'm putting Dennis on the hot seat.
That's fine. I think I should. I agree almost objectively that I should. I think I'm too nervous about failing, right? Because once you pin and look, I talked about failure being a strategy before. Once you pin a goal, it's measurable, right? And you either did or you didn't. On a date will roll around, and you will either have achieved the thing or you haven't. And I think maybe I should practice what I preach here a little bit more. That will be what holds me back from saying in 365 days, I want to have achieved this, I want to have written this, I want to have done this, I want to have ran this, whatever.
Dennis, we're doing some hiring at Card Shop Live, and I come in and I do a spiel about culture.
You can link the job description in the comments.
Well, I think we're going to fill it. But the first thing I say is we have a culture that embraces failure. Failure is important. Failure is good. Not 50% failure rate, but some measure of failure tells us we're pushing, we're innovating, we're trying. Success, the very worst teacher in the world. Success teaches us so little about what happened. Failure teaches us so much about ourselves, about the situation. We examine it. We are obsessed with failure. Outside of us, we're obsessed with success. Oh my God, look at the Kardashians. Look at, look at the royals in England. Good God, whatever. We're so obsessed with success. Inside of us, internally, we're so obsessed with failure. We're so obsessed with our failures. We don't linger on our successes. We linger on our failures. Use that, because failure teaches you what you did wrong. Success, you can't tell how it all went. You can't tell how you ended up on that road. Everything that went your way, you can't tell. All the little things that broke your way, you don't get that vision. But I can guarantee you, in failure, you start to look at everything that you think broke against you and you learn from it. Being afraid of failure is the worst thing in the world. We've talked about this with that book, Mindset.
Yep.
Failure is not the worst outcome. It is not. Failing to try, and again, I'm not trying to call you out, failing to try is the worst outcome.
Right. And that's encapsulated in the do or not, there is no try quote you picked, or, failure is when you stop trying. It's not when you actually, you like, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe I will set some goals. I will set some goals. I am going to. I'll manifest. Okay, I'll manifest.
Thank you, Jesus. I mean, come on, man. Maybe I will. I will try. All this stuff. And
the part, honestly, setting goals, I'm less worried about. The part I need to hold myself to is 364 days from now.
No, you don't.
You don't think?
No.
The reflection, the backwards looking, the learning.
You read it every day, and it's funny, because all of a sudden some of it happens. You're like, oh shit, that got taken care of. It's not the practice, the journey is the adventure, right? The practice is it. Getting it down on paper is the important part. Hitting it, it's the purpose of this exercise is not hitting a goddamn deadline. It's getting there in the end. Are you going to be upset if your goal is $10 million, but you got there in 370 days instead of 365? Is that a failure to you?
Well, it's tricky. No, obviously, but like the industry that we both work in, like I work in product now, everything's divided into sprints, and if not sprints, then months, and if not months, then quarters, if not quarters, year halves, if not year halves, years, right? And everything is sliced in such a way that what was the value of these 2 weeks, or these 4 weeks, or these 12 weeks? And when you do that, it's important to like micromanage and to try and get the best value out of things and try and make sure you're sticking to your strategies, things like that. But it is very easy to lose sight of 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 20 year, or 85-year lifetime goals, right?
It is, but yes, but not if you're looking at them every day.
If you're looking at them every day, yeah. So on any given day, when you wake up and think about your goals, are you prepared to adjust them? Or is there a review period?
No, I don't adjust them. Review. I mean, I will adjust them in the sense, I think I mentioned this before. It's not about achieving everything. It's about being able to achieve them. Having a Porsche is not the goal. Being able to afford one,
I understand.
even if I don't want one, is the goal. I don't consider that an adjustment. Okay, I consider that that goal is achieved. I just don't want that right now. I want an electric car, but guess what? I'm renting. I don't have anywhere to plug it in. Okay, so it'd be stupid for me to get. I don't want to do that thing where I drive it to a Target and charge it in the parking lot. That's, you know what I mean? So can I do that now? Yeah, I can go out and get one, but I don't want to do that right now. Have I failed that goal? No, I've achieved it. That's cool. We're good. Life happens. Review happens. By the way, we're not a company. So if you don't make progress in your goal, but you spent 3 days in Bavaria or you spent a weekend in Iceland, that's okay. You got a lot out of it. That wasn't a waste, right?
That's true.
Now,
yeah.
If you spent a week playing League of Legends and didn't do shit, that's okay too. If that's what you want to do, you spend a month.
One of my quotes that I have earmarked is for a future episode is time enjoyed wasting is not time wasted.
Now scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah, when a machine learning algorithm designed to steal your attention is doing it, it's a little different. I agree. And on that note, good morning, Mashi.
Good evening, Dennis.
Till next time.